Hello everybody, welcome back to Wolfeei. Today we have an interesting topic at hand. Yesterday I made a video, we'll get into that. First, I'm gonna be live. By the time this video is up, I should be live, or at least almost live, so come tune in. Second, MCC coin arrived, baby. Here's another Wolfeei picture. You get another picture from yours truly here. Rare Wolfeei sighting, but yes, I got my coin. It finally arrived after 2 weeks. It was stuck in customs for a week and a half. Bro, you don't understand. I was tweaking. When I found out that it was stuck in customs, I was like, oh god, they're gonna like not give it to me. No, I got it. It's arrived. It's in my house. On my desk. Well, it's on my keyboard right now, my piano. But I have it. Okay, now back to the topic of today's video. Too many Minecraft events video. I made that yesterday, or yeah, by the time you might watch this video, it might be a different time. And I, should have taken a bit more time before recording because there was some parts in this video that I didn't include because I forgot, and that led to some people, like seeing or having a certain perspective on my video based on what I did say in the video, even though I don't fully agree with how some people interpreted it. But there's some things that I didn't mention, and I want to clarify it in a video, not just in a comment that's pinned on a video, because I'm sure some people won't see it. And then I also want to give some advice, as the title suggests, 2 versions of the advice. We'll get to that in a little bit. In the pinned comment, I mentioned Wolfeei Mogamail made a controversial video, so it's time to clarify some things that I forgot to mention in the video. In this video, I was talking about how some people say there are too many Minecraft events, how some people say the Minecraft community is getting stale because there's a lot of events that are attempting to do the same thing, but they're not really doing anything different, so it just feels like it's the same thing. I made a suggestion based on a tweet that I saw saying, hey, it could be cool to see some of these events potentially collaborate to make something really good together. But I forgot to mention one of the factors that I wanted to mention. I'll explain it further, which made that comment seem a little bit, I don't really know how to say what it made it feel like, but seeing that Block Wars organizer is telling small Minecraft events, hey guys, work together. What you're doing right now is not working, which isn't what I was saying, but that's what I was implying, apparently. I can totally see how that doesn't look very good. What I was saying is, essentially, if an event wants to grow, and if a small event wants to have a chance at growing and getting to the point of other events, like a Mayhem, for example, right? It could be a good idea to collaborate with another smaller event to make something great together. We'll get into further details on why that comment wasn't the interpretation on that comment in the video is bad, but whatever. Either way, I said smaller events existing is not a bad thing. It's good that these events give smaller creators the opportunity to participate in events. We had an entire panel about this at TwitchCon this year, LOL. I said LOL because I thought this was an opinion that people would have maybe known from me already, considering, like mentioned, we had an entire panel about this at TwitchCon, and we literally all were talking about it. The panel was like, how do you get into the Minecraft event scene? Here is how it works. I literally mentioned, hey, there's a lot of smaller events. If you look on Twitter, you can find them. I obviously know how they work, so I just wanted to clarify that. I obviously don't hate smaller Minecraft events. I think it's good that they exist. I think it's good if they give an opportunity for smaller creators to play, because it is very difficult for a smaller creator to play in an event like MCC, Block Wars, PB, Mayhem, etc., etc., etc. And maybe even buy-in battle going forward, who knows. So yeah, just want to clarify that. Smaller events existing is a good thing. I'd never said it was bad. I don't think in the video I said, hey, smaller events suck, they should, suffer and die. I never said that, okay? I just said collaboration's a good idea. That's the only, whatever. Next up is my actual main issue with smaller events, which I'll say here. My main issue with smaller events is that I keep seeing a lot of similar players in them. If these events are here to give new people a chance to play, why are we continually seeing Block Wars Origins players and other familiar faces consistently appear in them? If these events are trying to grow, that's cool, but then they'll be compared to other events that are trying to grow, at which point the topic of too many similar events comes up again. That's the whole point that I should have made, and I forgot, so I clarified it, but that's the whole point. If you're a smaller event, and you're just trying to make an environment that other players, or like people can play in that typically don't really play in events, whether you want to do a public sign up, whether you want to do whatever, right? Whatever you want to do, a private server that you specifically go for, like, you know, smaller streamers for, or whatever, right? You try to make an event for the smaller streamers. Perfect. I love it. Great. The issue is, I feel like I've seen a lot of people appear in smaller events that are already in events like Block Wars Origins or like Pandora's Box, and I'm just like, why? Like, I understand maybe if a smaller event wants to grow, that's a step in the right direction, but like mentioned, if you're trying to grow and that's your step in the right direction, my advice applies and my comments apply of, oh, well, if your gameplay is the same as every event, it's similar, and, you know, at that point, the comment comes back of like, well, there's too many events that look the same. So that's what I was trying to say, is it's mainly a roster issue, I think. Once an event tries to grow, they need to have something different to them to not be seen as just another Minecraft event, just another MCC format event, right? That's the main thing. I think if you are in a smaller event and you just want to be small, you just want to have a community, you just want to have, you know, a fun group of players playing them, perfect. But if an event is trying to grow, what I said applies. That's fact. Like, what I said does apply. There are too many similar events that are trying to do the same thing. Try to do something different. That's that point. All right, let me catch my breath. Okay. I just got heated a little bit. Anyways, third thing. This is also very important because I don't want to just make it seem like what I said was not a bad thing and like I only did things perfectly and there was only some missing information. I did actually make a mistake. Next part. The idea of events collaborating or even merging has a big flaw, and that's that the mentality is fueled by the concept that these events are trying to be the next best Minecraft event built for larger content creators, which is not what every event is trying to do. This was a big oversight on my part, and I apologize for that. And I stand by that. That is true. I messed up. Collaboration, sick idea. But it only really applies to smaller events if they're trying to become a big event. Like mentioned here, the next best Minecraft event. Obviously, this is a little hyperbolic. I don't think an event could just randomly pop up and be the next best one out of nowhere. But, you know, it's very much the case where this collaboration idea only applies if an event is trying to become large and is trying to appeal to content creators, because inevitably if an event is merging with another event and the event becomes better and is worth, you know, like paying attention to, content creators are slowly going to make their way into the event and play, etc., etc., etc. And then it works. But if an event is not trying to do that, collaboration could be completely pointless. It could still work. You know, two smaller events, if they're just trying to appeal to smaller streamers and just want to give other people the opportunity to play, could still collaborate. You could still combine efforts and make an event that overall is better. But it could still just apply to the smaller streamers. It could be an event where instead of having 40 players, 8 minigames, you do 50 players and 6 minigames, or you do like teams of 5 and you do like whatever, like you do crazy things, right? Maybe even you do like teams of 2, but you go for like 32 teams and you make a huge event. You know, that's all possible. Technically, if you collaborate, you could do it. And it could still apply to smaller streamers. And yeah, you could still have a large streamer or like a Block Wars Origins player or whatever, right? Still make an appearance every now and then. But you need to be aware that the moment that these people make an appearance, a larger audience will see the event, a larger audience will be aware of the event, and there is a high chance that those people will compare your event to other events like Mayhem, like PP, like Block Wars, whatever, and be like, well, this feels the same. So unless you're making it different at that point, you know, the effort may not be worth it otherwise. So that's my analysis on what I effed up, and this is my clarification. Now on to the advice section. This is the advice. Let's get into it. So if you're a smaller event, 2 things. I have advice for if you're trying to grow, and I have advice if you're just trying to be for fun events, just have a passion to make an event and just don't really care about growth, just want to make it for your friends or whatever, right? Anyways, if you want to try to grow as an event, try to differentiate yourself from the rest. This has been reiterated over and over and over again. If your event just has, you know, an SG game, a Spleef game, a Skywars game, a parkour game, and you're trying to appeal to an audience that's pretty, like, you know, notable. Maybe, you know, get some Black Ops Origins people in there, maybe get some PB, some Black Ops players, get some MCC players in there potentially. Cool. But they're gonna see your event and be like, well, this is just the same PvP game. Well, this is just the same parkour game. And they're gonna probably lose interest. So if you want to make a very good impression on an audience like that, and you want to, whether it's short-term or long-term, appeal to a larger audience, you should try to differentiate your event one way or another. Whether you change up the format from just being a minigames event that's similar to MCC. Obviously, MCC format is a little, you know, a blurry line because some events are minigame events but don't really feel like MCC. Some events are minigame events and really do feel like MCC. Either way, you should try to either change up the core, make it not like 8 minigames, finale, blah, 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 whatever, or try to change up your games to a significant extent where they don't really feel like another game, if that makes sense. So that's differentiation. If you're trying to grow, differentiation, very big point. I think one thing that is apparent is that differentiation doesn't, you know, it could be in any different way. Buy-in battle is a good example. People look at buy-in battle with their fun mechanic, fun gimmick, and they think that's enough. And some people think it's not enough. Some people think it is enough. You'll at least have an audience that it appeals to. So that's good. I need to catch my breath again because I've been talking too fast. Anyways, second point. Don't be scared to ask for advice from event community members or players. Something that you have to be aware of is that your view of things, your perspective of things probably isn't going to be perfect, and it shouldn't have to be perfect, but there's probably going to be things that you might miss that other people will think about or catch or whatever, similar to how feedback is very important. You can ask for advice, whether it's from an event community member that you do know. I don't really want to call or name names because I don't want to put the pressure on certain people to maybe respond, but I have people in mind. Like a medium, small, maybe creator that's in like an Origins or in a PB type of event would be a good example. Or just players that you already have in your event who maybe are a bit more involved in the community, whether they're viewers, whether they're testers, whether they're whatever, you know, streamers, who cares? I think they could give you good insight too. It could be helpful. I think it could be a good thing. So if you're looking for advice, or if you're ever not sure about an idea, or if you ever have an idea and you want to just bounce off of someone for feedback, don't be scared to ask, because it could work. I will say though, I know some people would want to message me, for example, for feedback. I don't really want to give feedback because, and this applies to other content creators too, I think, or at least in terms of maybe some larger content creators. I don't know if I apply to that. However, I think one thing that is important to note is that content creators sometimes are kind of put on a pedestal, and people will listen to their feedback a bit more than other feedback. I think having one person's perspective that you maybe look up to, having that perspective influence your event too much, it might not be a good thing. So I often try to avoid giving proper like insight or proper advice, because I'm too scared that people will maybe make the event to appeal to my view when that's not what you should necessarily be doing. Even if you think my opinions are great, some people won't agree. So yeah, I try to avoid giving too like much detail in feedback and try to give too direct feedback. I'll give general advice, and then some people can listen to it if they want to or not, and it's totally fine. That's point 2. Point 3, feedback was already mentioned, but this is very important. Very, very important. If you're trying to grow as an event, listen to feedback from testers and players, especially if this feedback is recurring. I have internally heard so much people whine and complain about events for a good reason, because they feel like the events get stale, nothing's changing, and they keep continuously trying to give the same feedback, trying to give the same advice, and whatever they're saying never gets listened to, or at least there's no proof that what they're suggesting, recommending, or giving feedback on gets listened to. And that is not a good thing ever. Even if, let's say for example, you have a PvP game, it's like a survival games or Skywars type game, and you have axes in your loot table. If you think axe PvP is pretty interesting, I think it could be fun to watch, but your players are saying, hey, we don't enjoy playing with axes, axes are OP, axes are lame, whatever, you know, you'd have to probably sacrifice if it's a significant amount of feedback. If it's one person whining about axes, then that could be their problem, and if everyone else doesn't care, then whatever, right? But if it's a recurring bit of feedback that is at least somewhat mutually agreed upon, you should probably listen to it. It's probably a good idea to maybe at least try out this change, and you could have it in an event. You can always revert it if it doesn't end up the way that you expect or the way that other people expect. It's always possible. Keep in mind that a change doesn't have to be permanent. There's been things in Block Horse that we've changed and then immediately changed back because we were like, let's try something, and then we found out, oh, this doesn't work at all, let's revert it. Or even remove it sometimes. So, you know, don't be scared to experiment, and especially listen to feedback. Oh, well, actually, experiment is the next point, because if you're trying to grow as an event, and you're not already established and are willing to experiment, don't be afraid to collaborate with another event. I've already talked about this point. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but this is where the collaboration advice comes into play. If you want to grow as an event and you're not already established to the point where you think it would be weird, for example, I already mentioned buy-in battle. I liked BitSquid's work a lot. Had I known about BitSquid's talent, I would have tried to get them on Block Wars earlier, or at least, asked. Not saying, oh, you have to work for Block Wars, never make your own event. Obviously, you wouldn't say that, but I'm saying could have been cool. Buy-in battle's established enough as a thing right now. I think if it just disappeared, it'd be kind of weird. So obviously that would never happen again. But if you're an event that isn't already at that level where people are mutually agreeing that, like, this is a good thing, keep going, and people are maybe a bit more iffy, and if you're willing to experiment, which is the main important thing, because collaboration is a risk, but it could pay off huge. It could be a huge payoff if you want, if you do well, of course. Don't be afraid to collaborate and give it a shot. It could be fun. It could be really good. I don't know the exact event name, but I heard that other events are already doing it and already have done it in the past, and it worked out well. So there's proof in the pudding that collaboration in events can work, whether it's permanent or temporary. It can work, and I think it's a good idea. So that's my thoughts. All right, that's my thoughts on that. Next up, this is advice for if you're making an event just for fun and don't really care about growth, because I think this is important too. It should be acknowledged. I think one of the main priorities you should have is to create an environment where people can become friends or form a community. Make an environment, create an event, whether it's your Discord, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's whatever, where people are welcomed and can be friends and can have fun, and not have to worry too much about people maybe sweating too much and talking about them being trash at the game or whatever, depending on what your goal is, of course. If you just want to make an event out of passion, but you want to make it super competitive and allow anyone to play, go for that. But I'm saying, in general, if you just want to make an event for fun and have passion and you want to get positive feedback for the most part, or at least try to ensure that you get positive feedback, then make sure that the environment that you're creating is friendly and welcoming and feels like a community, because that's kind of how I interpreted MCC testing when I was a tester, and I thought that was wonderful. Obviously, it's not supposed to be a big event because it's private testing, but it's cool, and that's really fun, and I think you could totally, manage to do that with just a random selection of people, because that's what MCC testing was too. It just happened to be people who watched MCC and tested for the Nox route. But you could just be like, oh, these are a bunch of people who watch Minecraft events or like Minecraft events, and they just happen to play in my event. Cool. Make a community out of it. I think that could be really fun. Another thing that I think is important is if you're actually trying to not care about growth, obviously, don't put any emphasis on viewership. People will notice if, a higher viewership person is consistently in for seemingly no reason other than they have high viewership. Obviously, if you have someone in your event that you think is really cool and really easy to put on teams and is great, then do that. Put them in the event a lot. But yeah, emphasis on viewership should not be a priority, because again, as mentioned before, the moment your viewership increases, the higher chance there is for people to see your event and maybe give less, positive feedback on it and take it maybe too seriously. And also, especially, start comparing it to other events, because that just happens all the time. If you see an SG game in Minecraft flip-flop event or whatever, and it looks like Pandora's Box, people will be like, wow, Minecraft flip-flop SG looks like trash. PB on top, baby. And then you're going to feel like crap. So, yeah. Just be careful. If you're trying to just make it for fun and make it a passion project, be careful with viewership. don't put emphasis on it, because like I said, recurring high viewership means that more eyes will be on your event, and there's a higher chance you'll get compared and negative feedback, etc. And that might just not be the most fun to deal with. It's not always very fun to deal with. Block Wars, when it literally started, got compared to MCC every single time, and that wasn't that fun to deal with. So trust me, I know what it's like. Be careful. If you just want to make it a passion project, focus on your community and make it a fun environment, and don't worry about viewership too much. And then this kind of ties it back up. Third point, don't worry too much about negative comments from the event community. Some people are really critical, kind of for no reason. They're passionate about other events and kind of reflect that passion negatively upon other events. Some people will, for example, really love MCC and then be like, I hate Block Wars because I love MCC, and MCC should be the only thing that exists. Block Wars is stinky. And I'll be like, well, whoa, calm down, Buster, Jesus. All right, hold on. This is unrelated, but whatever. Yeah, just don't worry too much about negative comments, because, like I said, this community can be a little toxic sometimes, and negative comments kind of just fly around, and sometimes you'll just need to ignore it, because sometimes people just say it for no reason. Sometimes they don't even believe in what they're saying, and you should just not have to worry about it too much. Anyways, that's my advice for the smaller micro events. I wanted to just make this video and give my perspective and clarify some things, because this video made it seem like I did not like them, I think. I mean, I didn't intend for that at all, but some people interpreted like I was a hater of smaller Minecraft events. That is totally not the case. But yeah, just wanted to give a guaranteed positive video, I think, on the whole scene, just so people can't really misinterpret it, and also because I think this could be valuable information. Obviously, I'm a very experienced Minecraft event player and even maker, and I know some stuff and how some stuff works. Then I want to give some of that advice in advance, in case you have to run into the same issues that I've had to run into in the past. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Let me all know your thoughts on what I said. MCC coin, baby, I got it. Yes, let's go. And also, I'm live. All right, thank you all for watching. See you later. Goodbye.